In an escalation of tensions within the ongoing Ukraine-Russia conflict, recent statements from Russian President Vladimir Putin have cast a long shadow over the prospects for peace talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. On January 29, 2025, Putin firmly rejected the possibility of direct negotiations, a stance that raises further concerns about the future of diplomatic resolutions to the war that has persisted since 2022. Putin's dismissal of talks comes amidst a backdrop of intensifying military activities. Reports indicate that North Korean artillery has been deployed to support Russian forces, a development that adds a new layer of complexity to the geopolitical landscape. Analysts have noted that this collaboration with North Korea could signify a strategic shift for Russia, allowing it to bolster its military capabilities while also signaling to the West that it has significant allies. This partnership raises questions about the implications for international sanctions and the broader security environment in the region. Despite these developments, Zelensky remains undeterred in his appeals for international support. In a recent address, he urged former U.S. President Donald Trump to take a stand on the conflict, highlighting the need for robust American backing as Ukraine navigates the challenges posed by Russia's military aggression. The world must not turn a blind eye to the ongoing suffering of our people, Zelensky emphasized, reinforcing his government's commitment to resisting Russian incursions. The situation is further complicated by Ukraine's recent drone attack on Russian military targets, a move that underscores Kyiv's tactical approach to countering the ongoing threat. As the conflict continues to evolve, both sides have ramped up military operations, with Ukraine seeking to reclaim territory and Russia aiming to solidify its control over annexed regions. The dual pressures of military engagements and international diplomacy are creating a precarious balance, one that could tip further into chaos if meaningful dialogue fails to materialize. As the world watches closely, the implications of these developments extend beyond the immediate region. The rejection of talks by Putin not only reflects the entrenched positions of both leaders but also signals to the international community that the conflict may persist for the foreseeable future. The involvement of North Korea raises alarms about the potential normalization of military cooperation among authoritarian regimes, challenging existing international norms. With no clear path to peace currently in sight, the situation remains fraught with uncertainty. The international community's response, particularly from key players like the United States and European nations, will be crucial in shaping the next steps in this conflict. As both sides prepare for what could be a protracted stalemate, the hope for a diplomatic resolution continues to fade, leaving the future of Ukraine and its people hanging in the balance. The coming weeks and months will undoubtedly be critical in determining whether dialogue can be reignited or whether the region will descend further into conflict. The ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia continues to escalate, with significant developments emerging in late January 2025. In a bold display of military capability, Ukraine has executed a drone attack on a Russian oil refinery, marking a notable shift in the dynamics of the war. This strategic move not only highlights Ukraine's advancements in drone warfare but also underscores the increasing severity of the conflict. Ukrainian officials reported that the drone strike targeted an oil refinery in Russia, resulting in extensive damage. This attack is believed to be part of Ukraine's broader strategy to disrupt Russian supply lines and weaken its military infrastructure. The objective is clear: to hit the enemy where it hurts the most, a Ukrainian military spokesperson stated, emphasizing the need for decisive action against Russian assets. The attack signals Ukraine's commitment to leveraging innovative technologies to maintain pressure on Russian forces. Meanwhile, tensions have further escalated as Russian President Vladimir Putin has once again ruled out the possibility of face-to-face negotiations with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. In a statement delivered on January 29, Putin dismissed any prospects for dialogue, insisting that Ukraine must recognize Russia's territorial claims for talks to be viable. This refusal to engage in direct conversations effectively prolongs the conflict and raises concerns about an impending escalation of military operations. In a parallel development, President Zelensky has made a public plea for support from former U.S. President Donald Trump, urging him to reconsider his stance on U.S. involvement in the conflict. Zelensky's appeal reflects the ongoing desperation for international support as the war drags on. He stated, "We need allies who understand the gravity of our situation and are willing to stand with us against tyranny." This call for support underscores Ukraine's reliance on foreign partnerships as it grapples with the realities of a drawn-out conflict. Adding to the complexity of the situation, North Korea has reportedly deployed artillery units to the Russian front, a move that raises eyebrows regarding the implications of this alliance. Analysts suggest that North Korea's involvement could embolden Russia and complicate the geopolitical landscape further. The potential for increased military collaboration between these two nations poses significant risks, not just for Ukraine but for regional stability as a whole. As events unfold, the international community remains watchful. The latest drone attacks and the refusal of dialogue between Kyiv and Moscow suggest a grim outlook for any prospective peace negotiations. The situation is fluid and the stakes are higher than ever, with both sides seemingly entrenched in their positions. Future developments, particularly in terms of military tactics and international diplomatic efforts, will be critical in shaping the course of this protracted conflict. As Ukraine continues to innovate in its defense strategies and seeks support from allies, the world watches closely, hoping for a shift that could pave the way toward a resolution. In a recent turn of events that highlights the ongoing geopolitical tensions, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has unexpectedly praised former U.S. President Donald Trump for his just and fair rhetoric toward Russia. Zelensky suggested that Trump's approach is precisely what Russian President Vladimir Putin fears most, opening up discussions about the potential for peace negotiations in the war-torn region. Zelensky's commendation comes amidst a backdrop of escalating military dynamics and a refusal from Putin to engage in direct talks with Ukraine. Reports indicate that the Kremlin has dismissed any proposals for negotiations, exacerbating the already strained relations between the two nations. This refusal is further complicated by Russia's recent military maneuvers, including the deployment of North Korean artillery, which signals a readiness to escalate the conflict rather than seek diplomatic resolutions. The context of Zelensky's remarks stems from a broader concern about the efficacy of Western diplomatic strategies. With ongoing debates regarding the best methods to counter Russian aggression, Zelensky's acknowledgement of Trump's rhetoric raises questions about the potential shifts in the political landscape. "What we need is a strong and principled stance against tyranny," Zelensky stated, hinting that a unified front, even from unexpected sources, could play a pivotal role in addressing the crisis. Analysts are divided on the implications of Zelensky's comments. Some believe that any acknowledgement of Trump could embolden his supporters and reshape the conversation surrounding U.S. foreign policy. Others argue that it reflects a desperate search for allies in a conflict that has already led to significant loss of life and destabilization in the region. Zelensky's reliance on Trump's words may indicate a profound desire for any support, even if it comes from controversial figures, commented a foreign policy expert at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. As the conflict continues, the possibility of peace talks remains tenuous. The recent developments suggest that while there is a yearning for resolution, the pathways to achieving it are fraught with obstacles. With Putin's refusal to engage and the increasingly militarized responses from both sides, the situation remains precarious. Looking ahead, the international community is left to ponder whether Zelensky's unexpected praise for Trump signifies a potential shift in diplomatic strategies or merely reflects the complexity of alliances in a world defined by conflict. Future developments will undoubtedly hinge on the actions of both political leaders and military commanders as they navigate the treacherous waters of diplomacy and warfare. As tensions remain high, the prospect of peace seems distant, underscoring the urgent need for dialogue and reconciliation in a region marked by strife. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has recently expressed his admiration for former President Donald Trump's rhetoric regarding Russia, characterizing it as just and fair. In a statement, Zelensky emphasized that this type of discourse is exactly what Russian President Vladimir Putin fears, suggesting that it reflects a shift in narrative that could potentially alter the dynamics of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Zelensky's comments come amidst a complex backdrop of strained relations between Ukraine and Russia, particularly as diplomatic efforts remain stalled. Recent reports indicate that Putin has flatly refused to engage in direct talks with Zelensky, further complicating the path to peace. This refusal to negotiate highlights the enduring tension and mistrust that characterizes the conflict, which has seen numerous casualties and widespread destruction since its inception. In a related development, Zelensky has ordered a comprehensive report on U.S. support programs for Ukraine. This move signals the Ukrainian administration's commitment to transparency and accountability, especially as it seeks to maximize the effectiveness of international aid in its struggle against Russian aggression. The report is expected to analyze the impact of American assistance on Ukraine's military capabilities and overall resilience, a critical factor as the war continues to evolve. The ongoing conflict has not only drawn attention to military strategies but also to the geopolitical implications of U.S.-Russia relations. With Trump's rhetoric potentially resonating with a segment of the U.S. populace, Zelensky's endorsement may indicate a tactical alignment that could influence future American foreign policy. It's the kind of message that could rally support from both sides of the aisle in the U.S., said a political analyst familiar with the situation. As the situation in Ukraine develops, the interplay between U.S. political discourse and international dynamics remains crucial. The ongoing refusal of Putin to consider peace talks, coupled with Zelensky's strategic outreach to U.S. political figures, illustrates the complexities of navigating this multifaceted conflict. The implications of these interactions extend beyond the battlefield, potentially shaping the future of international relations in the region. Looking ahead, the international community will be watching closely to see how these developments unfold. As Ukraine continues to seek robust support from its allies, the effectiveness of its diplomatic efforts and the impact of military aid will be pivotal in determining the trajectory of the conflict. With both sides entrenched in their positions, the quest for a resolution remains fraught with challenges, underscoring the urgent need for renewed dialogue and a committed approach to peace.